Greetings all, FerrariMan601 here. Welcome back to the channel, and as all of you undoubtedly know way too intimately by this point, the entire world has gone mad. Yes, all of you undoubtedly know all about coronavirus, corona, COVID, whatever you want to call it. It's a thing, and it's happening, and it's absolutely wreaking havoc with everything that is holy and unholy. Therefore, it appears, as of the time of recording this, that the Australian Grand Prix is probably not going to happen. Earlier this morning, my time, Eastern US, GMT -4, McLaren announced that they were withdrawing from the Australian Grand Prix following the confirmation that one of their team crew members has tested positive for the coronavirus, and therefore, as a measure of solidarity and an abundance of caution, McLaren said that they are withdrawing from Australia. As of the time of recording this, we are 18:20 here in the late afternoon. We're still waiting for official word from the FIA regarding the future of the Australian Grand Prix. Reports are that both Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen have gone home, and therefore they will not be competing, meaning at very least Ferrari and Alfa Romeo are going to be fielding one car in this hypothetical Australian Grand Prix. And the Bahrain Grand Prix is very much in doubt. We also know that China has already been officially postponed, but you tell me where you're going to slot a race in later on in the year. So let's call China completely canceled. Bahrain, again, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. They came up with this ridiculous pronouncement that it would occur behind closed doors, as it were, so no spectators allowed into the circuit. We'll see what ultimately occurs with that. It's my feeling that should any team suffer heavy losses in the Australian Grand Prix, assuming that it happens, that Bahrain may not have a full field regardless, because if teams can't travel back into Europe freely, they can't go back to base and rebuild their broken cars. So we'll see if Bahrain happens. China's not happening. Vietnam is very much in doubt. At this point, I would say that perhaps, should the situation remain as it is at this time, we may not see a Grand Prix until perhaps the Spanish Grand Prix in early May. I would say everything up to the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort is very much in doubt at this point. Beyond that, I can't really project my mind's eye too farther into the future because we just don't have enough information at this point. Regardless, what we can do, though, since the real world of real racing appears to be completely devoid of any action, for better or for worse, again, let's not get into the specifics of what's real, what's not, the amount of misinformation, and quite frankly, hysteria that is out there is mind-blowing at this point. Be very skeptical of everything that you hear, please and thank you. However, what we can do is have a lot of action in the pretend world of pretend racing. So yes, this whole channel devoted to being a pretend racing driver, and therefore we're going to do some pretend racing. We're going to call it Formula Corona 2020. Yes, it is my ambition here, dear viewers, to present to you a very short, but still hopefully exciting, championship in F1 2019, visiting some of the circuits that are in doubt this year, 2020. The car that we're going to be racing is going to be the McLaren. As McLaren were the first team to pull the trigger in terms of saying, you know what, this is a little bit too crazy, we're not going to play anymore. We're going to drive the McLaren, and just for the shits and giggles, as it were, Lando Norris, the meme master. We are going to do 5 races in this little mini-series championship. I do plan to present all 5 races to you from first-person cockpit commentary in real time as they are occurring, and the calendar will be composed as follows. We will open the season in Australia, so we will be following the general convention of the Formula One World Championship. We will then be visiting Bahrain. Again, these are 2 races at this point very much in doubt. By the time this video is published, we will know the fate of the Australian Grand Prix definitively. Our third round will be in China. At this point, we are, of course, still following the calendar, and this race probably is not happening in 2020. After that, though, we're going to skip Azerbaijan because, well, quite frankly, I hate this circuit and I hate this country. Spain, will we go to Spain? Yes, we will go to Spain. And then following that, for the 5th and final round of our championship, where shall we go? Well, not Abu Dhabi because I hate that place. Not Brazil because it's a little bit too easy. Not Coda because, well, I hate that place too. Mexico, great circuit, but they ruined it. Suzuka, great circuit, but nah, we'll see. Russia, No. Singapore? No. Italy? Yes. So, 5 rounds of this Formula Corona 2020 World Championship, sponsored by Ferrariman 601. Our first round in Australia, followed by Bahrain, China, Spain, and Italy to round out the series. The 2019 Formula One points table, the rules for scoring points and all of that, that will be in place. The races will be at 25% race distance. We will have full damage. We will have safety car. We will have one-shot qualifying, which of course we will also bring to you. And we will see how we get on with the McLaren of Lando Norris. So again, just trying to maintain a little bit of a sense of normalcy and perhaps some entertainment for your viewing pleasure as we head into these basically unprecedented times as far as most of our lifetimes are concerned. I will say that the amount of people who are still with us who have seen anything like this, at least in the Western world, that number is dwindling very quickly. The sorts of events and the sorts of measures that are beginning to come into effect are things that remind me very much of the things that I have read and the things that I have seen about World War II. Therefore, we're in some unprecedented times as far as our generations are concerned. So we don't really know what the outcome is going to be. The only thing that I really can say with any sincerity is that I do hope that all of you are well and will remain well, and that any precautions that you are advised to take, either by your governments or just by your own common sense, I do very much urge you to heed those precautions and to take them very seriously, because, again, we just do not quite understand the nature of this adversary that we're up against. So, again, it's my aim with all of this to add a little bit of levity to your daily routines if you do choose to watch, and also just to put some content out, because I don't even know what my situation is going to be. I have the sort of job that puts me in direct contact with the general public on a daily basis, and we, of course, are going to be very concerned about what the future developments of this are going to be and any guidelines that I may have to heed, which may be anything from continue as normal to a full-blown quarantine. I don't know at this time. Therefore, hopefully we can keep some sense of normalcy for not only for myself, but for all of you, and just to give you something to look forward to. So again, you're going to get 5 videos here. This is, of course, the first of those 5. We will do the Australian round at 25% here in Formula Corona 2020. Stand by for action from Albert Park. Alrighty then, welcome to Albert Park for our first one-shot qualifying session. One chance for one hot lap to try and get this thing as high up the grid as possible. Knowing the limitations of the car, I would say that a top 10 starting position is reasonable for us, and 10th is going to be our goal. If we manage to get any higher than that, it'll be a bonus. If we don't get as high as that, well, I'll call it, it is what it is. Into Park Ferme conditions and to the track. There we are. What have we got? And into turn 1, a little bit of understeer there, creeping in. Out of turn 1 into P18. We'll open up the DRS flap. Braking into turn 2 or turn 3? I would call that turn 3, but whatever. Not a very good first sector for us, it does not appear. Currently P19, P17. It's going to bounce around a little bit as we continue to unfold here with the lap. P10, all right, now we're starting to punch where the car should be. Rolling onto the throttle very carefully. P9, all right. Into bonus territory now. Anything we can get beyond here is just gravy. There we go, DRS is active. P7 right now. Can we get any higher than that? Bit of a mistake there. Another mistake there, locking up the left front. P7, do we hold it? P8, it appears. Let's confirm that. And yes, P8 for us, a little bit higher than I expected. So it'll be all right. Where do we shake out with the rest of the field around us?
prime complete, let's review our top three today. Bottas, Hamilton, and Max Verstappen. Goodbye for now then, but we're really just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
All right, so Valtteri Bottas on pole, leading Lewis Hamilton, who is almost 4/10 behind. However, Mercedes 1-2, front row lockout, not at all out of the question there in terms of expectations. Max Verstappen there, good showing for Red Bull in P3, followed by Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel in 4 and 5, respectively. The second Red Bull of Alex Albon there for P6, Perez in P7, there we are in 8th, Kevin Magnussen immediately behind us in 9th, and Kimi Räikkönen rounding out the top 10 qualifiers there for Alfa Romeo. I do not see our teammate on screen here right now. Going back down the grid, there is Carlos Sainz in the second McLaren. He is 7/10 or so behind us, so we definitely setting the pace here for our team. Antonio Giovinazzi, Robert Kubica, and George Russell there rounding out the bottom 3. Robert Kubica, very interestingly, out-qualifying his much more heralded teammate, George Russell. However, the race is yet to be seen. We're going to unravel that mystery next. Welcome to the Albert Park starting grid here in our P8 starting position. To the strategy screen first of all, and we will employ our patented F-Man strategy of putting way too much fuel on board to do the race distance. And the reasoning for this is so that we can put the engine in its higher modes for longer, if not for the entire race, and hopefully be able to get a performance advantage toward the end as the others have to turn their engines down. We're also going to go a little bit longer into our first stint on the soft tire, so we're going to pit on lap 8, as you can see here. And we'll just have to keep that in mind. If we do have to make a stop earlier, then of course we can still do that. And of course, if we do get a collision on the first lap where we take some damage, we can also do that. And hopefully we won't be impacted too badly. However, let's hope that doesn't happen because, well, we would definitely be in trouble. So, back to the grid and to the race start. We'll go immediately into the start procedure. No formation lap. Let's get this underway. So we'll get the engine into mode 3. We are in overtake mode on the hybrid system. We'll raise the revs. We'll wait for the lights to go out. And we are away in Australia, round 105 of Formula Corona 2020. Coming down into the first corner here, we've been punted immediately up the back and we've lost our front wing. This is disaster. We're getting a warning for colliding with Kimi Räikkönen. Looks like Kevin Magnussen got into us as well.
We have to replace that front
Virtual safety car out.
Caution. The virtual safety car is out. Reduce speed and maintain a positive.
See, it would have been really nice to get a real safety car.
Slow and we risk a penalty. Slow your pace immediately.
See, we don't have to worry about saving fuel here because we have way too much on board to begin with. Virtual safety car really kills us, actually.
Box. We're adjusting the strategy.
VSC ending.
Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until the green flag. VSC ending. Wait for green.
See, I would say an incident on the first lap should warrant an actual safety car because now we couldn't even make up the gap to the rest of the field, and now we have to pit, which means our race is ruined from the start. However, still early. We may be able to nurse the tires to the end, but I don't think you could say that incident was my fault in the least. Got punted by Kevin Magnussen, it appears, who will also be pitting with us. Have to assume he also has damage, and we've got some pretty significant damage on this thing. Just going to make sure that we've got ourselves a new wing on order. We're actually going to go onto the hard tires here because we need these to last 14 laps. Coming into the pits. There it is. Okay, there's Magnussen behind. He does have damage to his front end. And we're just going to wait for them to affix the new wing. The hard tires, they have to last 14 laps. And off we go. We're ahead of Magnussen, so that's good. Go on medium deploy for the MGU. And pit out.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
Okay. So now we've got the proposition of having to do 14 laps on one set of tires here. They are the hards. We are good for the regulations of having to use 2 compounds during the race. So now we just see what we can do in terms of damage limitation. We're not going to be able to come back to our starting position. I severely doubt that. However, once everybody does pit,
Battery charge is high. Let's increase ERS deployment to up the pace.
once everybody pits, we will see what the real gap is. Already we're 11 seconds a lap faster than the previous one, but the front runners are already crossing start-finish, and we're just finishing Sector 2, so we are a long way behind. Kevin Magnussen behind us, who has resumed. He's gone for the medium tire, so they'll be faster than ours. Unclear as to whether or not he'll be doing this to the end. The car now feels healthy again. We've got ourselves a little bit more front-end downforce as well. Dialed that in with the nose change. We'll just see what we can do. Looking for that gap to Magnussen. 1.5. Okay. Turn up the hybrid deploy a little bit more. Very least we have to keep Magnussen behind us just for our own pride. He will be faster than us for the moment because he is on the softer tire. But I have the advantage of being able to run the higher engine modes. Of course, you can just keep looking in real time as to the gaps in the upper left of the screen. I can't see that all the time because I've got to look at which way I'm going. And coming through the final sector. Just looking to hold station here relative to Magnussen. I don't know how much inroads we're going to be able to make up ahead. In addition to being one stop behind everybody at this point, we're also on the hardest tires. I doubt anybody else will run the hards during this race, but we're in a little bit of a tricky situation, timing-wise. Really wish they would have thrown the actual safety car. We would have lost so much less time. Not entirely sure why they would throw a VSC at the start of the race like that. Doesn't really make sense to me, considering the gaps really haven't formed yet. But that's what they did. Just trying to look after the tires. Engine temperatures are a little high. That's expected running in these modes. We just hit the bollard there. And our components, what's the wear situation? So far they look fine. I don't know if in a custom championship the same rules apply in terms of component failures and making changes to them. I don't know if you'll incur penalties for that, because I've never done it before on F1 2019. Gonna have to start saving a little energy. 2.7 seconds is the gap to Magnussen. Ideally, I would like to have about 50% battery in reserve, just in case I have to get defensive. But we seem to be managing things to Magnussen reasonably well. I'd like to open up the differential a little bit more. There we go. Car's got a little bit more bite on turn in now.
Okay, we need some energy harvesting. Reduce ERS deployment.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull out a little bit of a gap to Magnussen. We'll turn it off. Do all recovery now. Doesn't really recover very much at all on the straights. Usually get 1, maybe 2%. All the recovery is done in the braking zone. I wish you could cycle the MGUH modes. You could do some more regen on the straights in that condition, but a little bit more of a simplified model here for the...
Trailing our teammate by 28.2 seconds.
Wow. 28 seconds to our teammate who qualified in what, 15th? So we're in trouble. But anyway, yes, a little bit more simplification now on the MGU modes. Of course, because this game is aimed at a more casual audience across multiple platforms, so you can't always assume that everybody's going to be playing with a wheel and they have sufficient buttons for all sorts of things. Robert Kubica out of the session. He was running in P18, it appears, and that's going to be a free position for both ourselves and Magnussen behind. Be getting into a yellow flag zone at some point. It looks like it's approaching.
Caution, caution.
There it is.
Someone's come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead.
He's on the inside there, well off the circuit. No problem. There's a green again, and we continue status quo up in a P18. Certainly not where I want it to be. 10 spots down from where we started. All because we got punted at the start, but these things happen. Extremely unlikely to be challenging for points today. And it's just hard, but again, it's all part of the game.
Okay, the car behind is catching you by 0.5 a lap. 0.5.
Yeah, but it's still 2.6 seconds behind. Not overly worried at this point. Just building the energy reserve. So when we do turn it back up, we'll be able to turn it up for a while. And again, we're still playing the long game of our fuel. I don't really have to switch the engine down. 25.5 seconds. That is basically the pit lane delta relative to Pierre Gasly in P17. He will be having to make a stop reasonably soon. We're coming into what our pit window would have been. So I doubt that he would be going much shorter or longer. This really is a shame because I really think we could have fought a little bit higher up. Probably not on the podium, but I think we could have been very solidly in the middle of the points there. But, oh well.
Turn up the ERS deployment and burn some of this energy.
We're going to do that presently. A little bit more straight line speed. We're in P16. We've overhauled some guys here. And I guess we might be able to get a little bit offensive. These guys are on cold tires for the moment. But they're still on the softer tires. They don't have to go as long on their sets as I have to do on mine, but they'll have a few more corners where they're not quite up to speed. This could be an opportunity, particularly on a slower car like this Williams. And that didn't go so well.
Information on Giovinazzi. Your front wing is damaged. Expect a lot of understeer unless we replace it. A new
Oh, yeah.
strategy is available on the MFT.
What can I blame for that? Dirty air from the Williams? Maybe. Sabotage? Maybe. This just became a lot more difficult. Wow, look at that understeer. If I pit, we lose everything, but we'll gain speed. We're in P16 right now. If I stay out, I'm going to kill the tires. and probably not gain any more positions. I'm out of the points anyway. Vettel is out of the session. We're going to pit. We're going to pit. Threw it all away. Can go on to softs. That's frustrating. That's really, really frustrating.
Go now.
All right. Out of the pits, onto the softs. We could just go hard for the last few laps.
Look after these tires now. We want to
See what we can find. If anything, we'll wait for timing and scoring to shake out as Vettel off the track.
Okay, clear.
P18. You're running where you don't want to be, where you don't expect to be.
Carlos is in for his stop.
All things happen, and that's it. Got plenty of electricity to burn, though. Burn this down. Get a little bit more harvesting. We're just basically going to try and do qualifying laps from now to the end. See that incident that we had.
Ahead is 40.1 seconds.
40 seconds to Science, or 11 seconds to Gasly. But that incident could not have happened at the worst time because everybody else was making their stops and we ended up losing so much more time, and you know, it just wasn't worth it to try and stay out. We're just going to keep trying for it. If anything, if we could somehow parlay fastest lap out of this, which I don't think is possible, we might be able to take points away from somebody in front. But I don't think that's going to happen. McLaren is not quite fast enough to do that.
The gap to the car ahead is 10.1 seconds.
It's using so much power. 20% now. Going to have to turn it off pretty soon. Just really wish that these cars could hold a little bit more electrical charge. But then I guess you would just use more of it and you'd be back to square one. Turn it off completely. 1.7 seconds faster on that lap. We were purple in sector 3. What's the gap up ahead to Gasly? I didn't notice last time it showed up. See, live gaps would have been helpful.
So I expect they fixed whatever the problem was.
Who slowed down? They didn't even tell me who slowed down. At least I didn't catch it if they did. But anyway, why are we even doing this? Well, again, just trying to add a little bit of levity to a very challenging situation. We know that motorsport this year, at least for the start of the season, is very much in doubt. I should have mentioned off the start of this segment, and I failed to do so, Should have mentioned that the Australian Grand Prix was cancelled in that interim period between me recording the opening and recording qualifying. So, yes, this is the only Australian Grand Prix we'll see this year. 7.3 seconds to the car ahead. Making up more time than I thought we would. But I don't think we have quite enough laps left to really affect a charge. But yeah, it started with McLaren saying, no, we're not going to race. One of our team members contracted the virus, and out of solidarity, we're not going to race. And then Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen supposedly went home, which meant that Ferrari and Alfa Romeo were going to have to pull out of the event, lest they field one car each. And then it was just announced by the FIA and Formula One management about an hour ago, my time, that the race officially would be canceled. Supposedly Mercedes actually petitioned for the race to be canceled on March 11th. However, that didn't come out until afterward. Sneeze. Sorry about that. I do not have coronavirus.
Battery charge is low. If we turn down the ERS deployment, we can harvest more energy.
Yeah, understood. Personal best sector 2. To turn the system off for lack of electricity. A little bit of a boost down the straight. Turn it off. Basically going to have to manage it corner by corner now. I can see Pierre Gasly in front, just little whispers of that Toro Rosso. Don't call it an Alpha Tauri, but that's what it is now. Basically just have little bursts of performance left. We are starting to reel Gasly in, which is enticing. Threw it off the road ever so slightly there through the second to penultimate corner. Try and get a little bit more speed down the straights. We don't quite have enough electricity. If this race were a little bit longer, it might start to get interesting again. We got 2 laps to go. We're almost within a shout of Gasly.
We have 2 laps of fuel remaining.
Yep, that's working out a treat on the fuel there. This is the stage of the race where we have a little bit more performance in reserve than the guys around us. And I think you're seeing that right now with our pursuit of Pierre Gasly. Whether or not we'll be able to get him is another question, but you can definitely see just being able to run the engine a little bit higher has an impact. That was a little bit harem-scarum there. On the brakes. Definitely getting closer. But if we're going to do it, we have only one more lap to make this happen. Went wide.
This is your final
1.8.
final lap of the race.
Okay, that was very sideways. I don't think we quite have enough time. We're going to try, but I don't think it's going to work. Valtteri Bottas, in the meanwhile, has won the race. We're so close, but we're out of electricity, and I don't think we're going to be able to harvest much more. This is our last chance right here. We'll make contact. Continuing to make contact. He's pushing us off. We have DRS. Not quite enough. No! No. P18. We tried. We really tried. Fighting for nothing, but that was all.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result?
Man, that's disappointing.
Stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease. Showing Albon in 6th. You're not going to show the absolutely heroic effort that I put in. Of course you're not. There we go, another Mercedes 1-2. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. Well, take a picture, guys, because this is the closest you're going to get this year to seeing a podium at the Australian Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas winning over Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Much as how things looked in the real world 2019 for Bottas anyway. We'll await the final results. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day? I mean, can it be anyone else other than Danny Kvyat? His performance today really set him apart from the other drivers out there. He's got to be happy with how he's done here this weekend. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one. Rather controversially, I'm actually going to agree with Daniel Kvyat being the driver of the day there. He started 11th and he finished 5th. That's a pretty good points haul there for the Toro Rosso driver. Valtteri Bottas winning ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Gap at the end, 1.762. Charles Leclerc up from P4 to take the final podium position. Sergio Perez up there in 4th. Nice showing for him. Kvyat in actually beating both of the Red Bulls there in 5th. Very cool. Albon beats Verstappen. Hülkenberg beats Ricciardo. Sainz beats Norris, unfortunately. Lance Stroll there, our first car out of the points. Grosjean, Raikkonen, Magnussen, who punted us and finished 14th. Very upset with him. Pierre Gasly did not improve his position at all. We lost a lot of positions. We lost 10 positions. We made 2 pit stops, and we were the last car classified. Sebastian Vettel and Robert Kubica did not finish the Grand Prix. Not entirely sure what happened to either one of them. However, there it is for us. We started 8th and we finished 18th. A very disappointing day, but that's the start of the season here, our 5-race calendar. And, of course, that's the championship order right now. We are P18 in the drivers' standings. And McLaren have 1 constructor's point. So we've got a lot of work to do. Obviously, I know we could have done a whole lot better where we started from, but these things happen. And unfortunately, that's what it is. The next round, of course, in Bahrain, we're going to have a bit of a different venue. It's going to be at night. Temperatures will be down a little. We'll see if that's going to be better for our tire strategy at very least. And hopefully we can stay away from first lap collisions. And I have to say, that was not my fault at all. We were punted from behind by Magnussen. The second incident was entirely my fault. Target fixation, looking at the Williams that was ahead, and, well, I forgot where I was. But with any regard, that is what we have from Australia for the first round of Formula Corona 2020. We are P18 in the championship thus far. Until the next installment of this little impromptu series, though, Ferrari Man 601 wishing you all well. Please do heed any warnings, precautions that you are advised to take. And, of course, to anybody who actually is in distress from this, please seek medical help if you require it. And as for everybody else, stay safe,
stay strong, laugh a little bit, be bright, brighten somebody's day in any way you can, and we'll figure this out together. Thank you all for watching, and of course, we will see you soon.